The last 10 years, if anything, have, if you like, redefined and shaped the People's Democratic Party, a party that one time had held sway for 16 years at the national level in particular and across many states in this country. But beyond the 2015 general election, which of course former President Goodluck Jonathan had lost, came the other two cycles of general election, 2019 and 2023. Now these two, if you like, electoral events did test the grit of the PDP as well as also put to test its internal cohesion. The last 10 years has also shown that the People's Democratic Party has been challenged on many fronts, with factions, if you like, welling up within the party, and individuals, in particular those who are said to have so much of clout and influence, leaving the party. In very recent history, we've seen some of the biggest names in that party also either leave to join the ruling All Progressives Congress or just decide to stay aloof. Some say, well, they are staying on the fence. As it stands today, Nigerians are not so sure whether or not the PDP as a political party, a political entity, is part of the ongoing talks regarding a coalition for 2027. However, one thing is very clear. The PDP does not look today like a party that is ready to go into that election the way it is currently constituted. Of course, the party has also seen some wins in some areas, some levels. But do these put together contribute to its ability to fight fair and square with the APC going into the next round of general elections? This morning, I'm joined by a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, who is also the convener of the PDP League, COMRADE WARMATE. DABOIKIABO. I try to be very careful with the second name, but I'm sure I'm doing better by the day. It's a pleasure having you on the program, Comrade.
Thank you for the privilege.
Great. So let's begin with this morning. I mean, the papers are washed with stories about the PDP, most of them not painting your party in good light, in light of the realities that your party is dealing with. Talk to us about where we are.
Well, I want to say, correct the impression that the party, many papers are painting the party bad. Well, it will be their opinion, but the truth remains that every party have their challenges, and we have our fair share of those challenges, and we are, by God's grace, managing it fairly under the leadership of Ambassador Umar Damagu and Senator Anyao. The party is very well. We have issues with the national secretaryship, and by God's grace, it has been resolved in line with the constitution of our great party and the Supreme Court pronouncement.
It's interesting. I mean, you have mentioned the IRO elements in this conversation. The governor of Enugu State, talking about Peter Mba, says he stands with the NWC of your party. He stands with the position of the Southeast. Of course, we know what that position is. By the way, it's in favor of Ode Okoye, the man who a faction of your party believes is the de facto, if you like, even de jure national secretary of your party. So when you say that issue has been resolved, is it based on what the Wike or your, well, faction of the party thinks, or is that the reality across the party today?
No, you see, it's the reality across the party that Anyao is the national secretary, and not just across the party, is the position of the constitution. And it is quite unfortunate that people like His Excellency Peter Mba of Enugu State and His Excellency Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, with due respect to them, will be acting against the constitution of our great party. Because looking at the constitution, there is no angle, there is no reason to say that Senator Anyao was not the national secretary at any point in time. And that has been made clear with the meeting and delegation which Oyo State Governor was part of, that met with the INEC team led by the national chairman, the chairman of INEC. So you see that it's politics we are playing, and some people want to have their way unconstitutionally. But the Constitution has said this is the way, and most of our great party, members of our great party have said, no, we are going this way. Today, expanded caucus meeting will take place. I just left there, Already people have started coming in. And that is to tell you that the PDP is getting stronger. You know, the issue we had before is because we are trying to, you know, divert or digress from our consistency in abiding by our constitution. Because Shea Makinde and Peter Mbah cannot compel the party to unconstitutionality, to illegality. Because looking at section 47(5), the party stated it clear in the part A, which is usually the operational word is may, and that part A is standing on the two legs. And looking at part B, where they are relying on, we say shall. Part B is standing on one leg, because the second leg is the Congress guideline. And if you look at the Congress guideline, both page 36 and page 26 or so, you will discover that there is no time at which the party in the 2022 primaries said that a candidate should resign. In fact, if you follow section 48(1), even if you win the governorship, assuming Senator won the governorship of Imo State, until he takes the oath of office, he can still remain the national secretary, because the operational word in 48 is assume. And among the offices listed, there was no position of governor-elect or flag bearer of the party. What he said, when you assume the position of a governor. So he has never assumed the position of a governor. He only assumed as a flag bearer, and not even governor-elect, because even as governor-elect, you are not occupying dual office. And you see the unconstitutionality in that. But because of their desperation, they went to the Supreme Court. I mean, they went to the Enugu High Court and Appeal Court Division with a forged document, it has been alleged, and secured or procured judgment. But the Supreme Court has looked at it and said no, and said Anyanwu prayers are meritorious. And one of his prayers is, he is the National Secretary of PDP before this matter started. So for the Supreme Court to say nullify or say that the Appeal Court and High Court of Enugu State, Enugu Division cannot stand, means that Anyanwu remains the secretary. Let's look at it before those cases. Who was the National Secretary? Senator Anyanwu. So there is no argument to that point, but political greed to the extent of ego has come in. Otherwise, there is no need for Peter Mbah, Shea Makinde to still raise dust. And I want to say, I commend people like the Zamfara State Governor, the Plateau State Governor, the Bauchi State Governor for accepting and abiding by the Constitution. They were part of the team that went to INEC. And when INEC gave their position, they saw it and they reasoned with it. And said, okay, if this is the position of the Constitution and the Supreme Court pronouncement, let's move forward.
Was the meeting with INEC worth it? Did it yield desired results?
To a large extent, it did, because without that meeting, some of the warring faction that today are not saying recognizing Anyanwu as the National Secretary would have found it difficult. That is the advantage of that. Because some of them, they've been told, even the National Legal Advisor has advised them that based on the Constitution, Anyanwu remains the National Secretary. But they said no, let's go. Individually, they went to INEC. INEC said, but they went, the last caucus meeting, they went, delegated members, and the members went, leaders rather, went and met with the INEC leadership. And the INEC leadership stated it clearly that following the Supreme Court pronouncement, following your own Constitution, Anyanwu remains the National Secretary. And so will it be until you organize a convention to do otherwise. Otherwise, you remain the National Secretary.
It's interesting. I just want to ask you this. You are not here to hold brief for the other faction, maybe the Shea Makinde faction or the Governor Mbah faction. But what do you reckon could be the motivation behind this fight over Ode Okoye becoming the National Secretary of the PDP?
Well, you see, it's politics. They want their stooges. And you know what bleed my heart most is that in the desire and desperation to have someone, a puppet, as a National Secretary, they did not look at the credibility of the person that they want to make National Secretary to a party, the most number one party in Africa. Udo Okoye is a misfit, with all due respect. He's a misfit. Look at our BOT meeting, running with barefoot, displayed tawdry, characteristics. And today it has been alleged himself and the director at the National Secretariat forged our Congress guideline. A criminal offense is the person they are putting forward. And let me make something clear. Netanyahu is not desperate to remain the national secretary. What Netanyahu was fighting is not to remain the national secretary, but rather he was fighting against illegality. Let there be no wrong precedent under his watch that people will reference tomorrow. Not because he wants to remain the national secretary. No. And that's why I believe that he deserves an apology from those people that have been, fighting him. Because looking at the constitution and every extant law, he remains the national secretary. And that is what he's fighting for, not him and must be remain the national secretary. No. If today I allow them to have their way, it will be a precedent that others will come tomorrow. In fact, the young party faithful should commend him for being consistent in this fight to ensure that constitutionality and legality prevail over unconstitutionality, greed, ego, and illegality.
Okay. So your party has its NEC meeting scheduled for today.
Not NEC meeting. Expanded caucus
meeting today. Yes, sorry. Thank you for the correction. So you have that caucus meeting scheduled for today, which is very pivotal, is very crucial, at least given where your party is now. But there was also the issue of whether or not there was a faction that wanted today's meeting to go on, another faction that said no, it can't go on. Where are we today? Are we on the same page? All the factions in your party, are they on the same page as to that caucus meeting holding today?
The caucus meeting, see, the life wire of a political party is the national chairman and national secretary. And both of them has made pronouncement following the Constitution, Section 36. The National Secretary has issued notice for...
So in this case, for context, let's be clear. Yes. Who issued this notice in the person of the National Secretary? Is it Mr. Ayaw?
Yes, Netanyahu. We've never had any National Secretary except Netanyahu from 2021 to date. He's the only person that remained the National Secretary. And the National Chairman, following the Constitution, has the powers, Section 35 of our Constitution, to summon a meeting. And he has summoned. And the National Secretary's responsibility is to issue notice for that summon, for the meeting. And the National Secretary has done that. So, for the expanded caucus meeting. And that is what will happen today. Now, talking about those that you said are saying neck must hold and what have you. You see, it is quite unfortunate that people work against their conscience because of ambition. Let me give you an instance why I'm making that statement. The Deputy National Chairman South, in the person of His Excellency Ambassador Arapaja, is doing what he's doing because he felt or is feeling that Sheyi Makinde will hand over to him as governor, without knowing that he's not even among the first three of Sheyi Makinde's list from what investigation has revealed. So he's not doing that because that is what he wants to do. He knows the truth, that what he's doing is wrong and it's an illegality and it's against the constitution of the party. But because he wants to please his master, Sheyi Makinde, and because he's trying to lobby him to be the next governor of Oyo State, whatever Sheyi Makinde tells him, he does it, not looking at the legality and the illegality of it. That is the unfortunate thing. And some of them there, I know them, and when they came into the NWC, they had nothing. And they feel, our tenure will soon end, so let's see what we can grab before we leave. They profit from the crisis or the interest wrangling in the party. Otherwise, at this point, this Constitution has spoken, the Supreme Court has spoken, the political party regulatory body, which is INEC, has spoken. So what else do you want to say? You are not independent of all these bodies. They cannot claim to be independent of the Constitution. They cannot claim to be independent of the Supreme Court pronouncement. They cannot claim to be independent of the regulatory body, INEC. So on what grounds Are you going against the Constitution? There's nothing. It's just that people are sustaining this fight because they profit from it. And some of them are doing it not because they want to do it, but because that is the only way that will show that they are loyal in order for them to get what they want from their principal. I've given you an example of Arapaja. He wants to be the governor, and that's why he's desperately doing whatever Seyi Makinde wants, even not minding if it's against the interests of the party, the constitution, and if it's unconstitutional. As long as it pleases Seyi Makinde to be able to have buy into his heart to be nominated as the governorship candidate in Oyo State. So we don't have serious issue, because as far as the party is concerned, we don't have any faction. We have some good disgruntled persons or NWC members. Fine, they met yesterday. Out of 16 NWC members, 9 were in the meeting, and that is majority. If you remove 9 from 16, you have 7. It's only 7 of them.
So can we take it? I mean, that those 7 are with the Seyi Makinde faction.
Not can we take it? They are with him because they have been profiting from the crisis. So they are with him, and I've given you reasons why they are with him, because they know the truth. They know the
they are
truth.
driven by ambition.
Ambition and personal aggrandizement. Because some of them say, by December our tenure will end. What are we living with? Nothing. So they profit. They see wherever this thing will come from, the money will come from. That is where they follow.
I want to ask you something. I mean, you and I talked here a little over 6 weeks ago, and we're talking following the defection of the governor of Delta State, which again has always been, until now, a traditional PDP state. Between the last time you were in this studio and today, we have also seen the defection of a governor of another traditional PDP state, which is Akwa Ibom. In fact, people are now said that on account of Governor Umo's defection, there's a chance that his immediate predecessor, talking about Udom Emmanuel, will also move to the APC. But we're waiting for that to happen. We're not so sure of that. But what we're sure of today is that when you go to another South state, Bayelsa this time, Governor Duri is said to have now been endorsed, for defection. He has been given approval, so to speak, by the House of Assembly and the leadership of your party in Bayelsa State. As a matter of fact, PDP legislators in Bayelsa State have now endorsed President Bola Tinubu. In fact, in the days ahead, the official defection of the Governor Diri would be announced. And then this morning, news is saying that the APC is moving to quote unquote take away 5 more governors from the PDP fold again. Can we say, in the words of Dino Melaye, that the PDP is dead now?
Dino Melaye, let me start by, you cannot take the words of Dino Melaye serious. Dino Melaye is it has faded away. He's a politician that has faded away, so he's living by his past glory. You cannot take him serious. Someone that said in 2014, here is our PDP 3 times, Allah here is our PDP 3 times, and said Olomaje PDP, and said Tufeka PDP, came back to that same PDP. Not only came back, took ticket, went and sold that ticket. It has been alleged he sold the ticket and went away and gallivanting all over the world at the expense of the party. Is such person that we take his word serious? So we don't take people like Dino Melaye serious, please. Maybe because he was a former senator and that's why people are taking a House of Rep member. If not, his word, as far as PDP is concerned, his word matters, means nothing to us, because he has demonstrated it. He stood on a podium, on a PDP podium, chatting APC. So we know such persons. We don't bother ourselves with them. But let me address the main issue, which is you talk about. I've read also that there is rumors that the Bayelsa governor is looking at the campaign, but I've also read in on one of the national dailies where he said that he's not the campaign. In his hometown, when some of the legislators representing his constituency at the state and federal level paid him a visit, he said he's not the campaign, he will remain in PDP. So we are yet to see if truly that is the case, or if the rumor is the case. But it will be unfortunate, just like the good people of Akwa Ibom State did to the what is he called, the Akwa Ibom State governor, when he said he's moving out, he said no. Same thing will happen in Bayelsa. It's a traditional state. The DNA of the people of Bayelsa, just like rightly said, the traditional state of Delta are all PDP. Some of them, they've not registered, they've decamped. In Delta State, reliably informed, they've decamped, but they've not registered with the APC. They are still struggling to take the PDP structure. Of that? They are struggling to take PDP structure. If you are talking about, I think you said federal legislators, but some federal legislators from Bayelsa State are struggling to take the leadership of the caucus, PDP caucus in the National Assembly. So you see that some of these are rumor, and the people are compelled to decamp for whatever reason best known to them. But I will want to commend those that will decamp without casting aspersion upon the party that has given them that privilege to be known across, this country. Some of them will decamp, just like the Dino Melai mentioned, and make all sort of comment about. He could not even. He is the worst candidate we have in the history of PDP flag bearers in Kogi State. His vote. So you don't count those people. But I want to assure you that we lose some governors or not, PDP is bouncing back, and we are coming up with very credible candidates in the 2027 election that will surprise Nigerians. Popular candidates are not candidates that are only good with their mouth and are not good with their leadership style, that cannot governize membership. Give them ticket, they just sell it and go and be flexing in Dubai and so on, and posting pictures. No, that is not the candidate who will float this time.
You're saying we shouldn't take Dino Melai seriously. I mean, a man like you also alluded to, who had been a senator on the platform of your party, the PDP. Maybe, who knows, we should take former Vice President Atiku Abubakar a bit more seriously, because just before the 2015 general election, he had also given up the PDP for the dead. As a matter of fact, 1 decade down the line, you and I know, he's one of the persons in the forefront of the talks about coalition. What does that say about the depletion that's happening to your party, and how it's going to, at best, go into 2027 as a man on one leg?
You see, PDP has made it clear that we are not going into coalition with any group or any political party. We are only going to accept collaboration and those that wants to join us. And the national chairman, when I say PDP, I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about symbols of the party, which is the national chairman and the national secretary, has come up to say our party is not going into any coalition, and if anybody is doing that, they are doing that on their personal grounds, not on behalf of the party, because the party has not come up with a position discussed to say we are going for a coalition. So the coalition talk, whoever they're engaging on that is doing it at their own individual level, not as a party PDP, because the PDP has taken position. The number one, I will call number one pressure group in the party, the PDP's governors forum, has said it, that no coalition. The national chairman has said it, he said it, no coalition. The national secretary, who said it first, said no coalition. So that will tell you the position of the party, and that is what every member stands with.
It's interesting, now that you mentioned the national chairman, we understand that there are people in your party, including 1 or 2 governors, who are not comfortable with Ambassador Damagun being the interim, or if you like, acting national chairman of the party, because they say it's an injustice, because they believe that the national chairmanship should have gone to a different region of the north, a different zone of the north, not where it currently is at the moment. One of those persons who are seen, I'm sure you're also aware, is the governor of Bauchi State, His Excellency, talking about Bala Mohammed, for example. Is that not again a factor that sets your party at a disadvantage?
No, we have gone past that. Let me say that, you see, today as we speak, we have overcome that challenge. Some governors, definitely when you are in a position, not everybody that will like you.
Right.
We should understand that, and not everybody will feel comfy with you, that you protect their political interests. Because some people always put their interests above the Nigeria interests, and such persons is very difficult to hold them. Just like the former president said that it's difficult to wake somebody that is pretending to sleep than someone that is genuinely sleeping. So some of them are pretending to sleep, so it's difficult to convince them to understand. But the Bauchi State governor has understood the fact that Ambassador Damagu's occupying the position is constitutional. And that's why we don't hear the rumor or the news that people are fighting for him to leave. It ought to go to this region, it ought to go to that region. We have passed that stage, and we have also passed the stage of Anyao is not the national secretary, because it has been made clear expressly there is a national secretary. So we are forging towards uniting our party and giving Nigerians the needed opposition, and also work towards, pushing the ruling party out, which Nigerians have been begging us to do, and we are working towards that. That is the stage we have. So we have passed that stage of Anyao Damagu issue, not to the national chairmanship ought to go to this region or zone. The national secretary, it ought not to be Anyao. We've passed that stage, because today, the both gentlemen, they are one of the finest gentlemen we have called for expanded caucus meeting. And today, as I speak with you, I just left that environment. You will see that everywhere has been primed down for the, this time people have started coming in.
Before now, it will appear the struggle of the leadership, or as they say, the structure of your party, was between former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Minister of FCT Nyesom Wike. But it appears the dynamics have shifted quite drastically in recent times. I mean, it looks like it's now between Nyesom Wike and Governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde. And the irony of it all, as you are also aware, is that both of them had, before now, been members of the so-called G5 governors and all of that. Talk to us about what has led us to this place.
No, you see, it's politics and greed, and people failing to appreciate the fact that there is a grand norm, which is the constitution, that governs the party. No matter what you are doing, and no matter what you stand for, ensure that whatever you are doing fall within the ambit of the law. So today, every politician's desire is to have a structure. Every politician's desire is to control the structure. But my advice is that do that within the ambit of the law. Because right now, as we speak, that is what the FCT minister is doing. And that is why he's beating people like Seyi Makinde, because they want to do it outside the ambit of the law by bringing a misfit, total misfit, someone that is a symbol of a disgrace if you make him the national secretary. So, but you see the credibility. In fact, let me tell you something. I was at his birthday, his sister's birthday, the national secretary of our great party, His Excellency Ambassador Senator Samuel Anyao. The former Senate President Saraki said something. He said, Senator Anyao is the first and only senator in the history of Nigeria that has summoned the Senate President to his committee, and when he sat in, he was in the witness box, he strips him off of his position as the Senate President. How do I mean? He did not address him as SP Saraki. He said, the ordinary senator, as far as this hearing is concerned. And Saraki was treated as ordinary senator, not as Senate President. That is the person we are talking about, that had that kind of integrity, God's courage, that without any, looking at anybody's face, he takes and does the right thing. Saraki himself said it to my hearing in the birthday, during the birthday celebration. That's why he respected. And Saraki said, he told him that, see, this is your boss. He said, yes, I know you are my boss, but this matter, you are involved, and I want you to appear to clear your name if you know you are, you don't have issue. And he did. He was a first-time senator. To display such courage is something that wowed the Senate President. And yes, on Saturday, he said it before the hearing of everybody. That is the kind of person we are talking about. So, Anyao is a material that if PDP want to lose anybody, it shouldn't be Anyao at all. And that is why, the FCT minister is beating most of these persons, because his candidates are always people who does his thing within the ambit of the law, to see how we can make sure that, because if you try to do anything outside the law, you will lose out at the long run. Maybe you might even have sometimes immediate victory, but at the long run, you have set a wrong precedent. So as long as this power tussle is the ambition of every politician to have the structure of the party, to have a say within the hierarchy of the party, and you don't have to blame any of them. But the thing is that do it within the ambit of the law. That is the issue people like us have. And Sheyi Makinde is doing it outside of the law, and that's why he's going to lose, and he has lost the first one. But I also want to use this opportunity to advise him that there is no need for ego. If you have been beaten, you have been beaten. If you walk outside the law, you should know that definitely you will not succeed. Then come back to work with the Netanyahu, and let's move this party forward. If you genuinely love PDP, because it has been alleged that he wants to use the party to negotiate, so he wants to sustain the crisis so the party will not have a candidate. By so doing, he has exerted his influence. That is what is on ground. So for him to encourage some NWC members to be making statements while the national chairman and national secretary and majority of the NWC members are working towards a progressive PDP, they are trying to work towards retrogressive PDP, but they will fail. That is the truth, because majority, over 90% of Nigerians party faithful are with the present NWC as ably led by Ambassador Damagu and Netanyahu.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break at this point, everyone. There's so much to, as it were, unpack regarding this conversation this morning. But when we return, we'll turn our attention to Rivers State, now the home state, incidentally, of my guest, to look at what exactly has changed since the time that state of emergency was declared in Rivers. All of that and more shortly after this break. Please do stay with us. All right, so let's turn to the issues in Rivers State. Of course, your man, the Minister of FCT, has reconciled with his before now estranged political godson. Both of them gave brief remarks about their impression regarding the turn of events. Of course, the FCT Minister says there's no family where you don't have a bit of squabble here and there, but the ultimate thing is that you recognize that family is family, and then you find a way to resolve your differences. And on the other hand, the suspended governor said that there's no price too much or too big to pay for peace, which makes sense. I mean, even beyond PDP and politics generally. But the question is, does this bring closure to the conflict that we have seen the entire time between Wike and Fubara? That's number one. A lot of damage has been done. You know what they say about when two elephants fight. People have suffered. I mean, there have been casualties in River State, politically speaking. Well, some sort of collateral damage and all of that. In fact, we understand that the Simplified family, which is a very staunch support group behind Siminalayi Fubara, is now divided because there's a faction of that group that says that the man has surrendered so easily. Others say, well, peace is ultimately what matters and all of that. Talk to us about your thoughts.
Well, let me start by commending the FCT minister. He has displayed the characteristics of a father, just like the prodigal son in the Bible. He has displayed, when the father of the prodigal son saw his son, he welcomed it, in fact, through a party. And the FCT minister has demonstrated that truly he's a father, because it takes a true father and a loving father to forgive a son or a daughter that has gone astray. And I want to commend him for that. I really, really appreciate the fact that the FCT minister displayed such level of forgiveness and fatherly ability, because it is not easy if you are within the political space to go through such level of betrayal. It is not easy having invested in someone politically, and at the end, within the shortest time that you can think of, that one wouldn't want to imagine, you begin to see some level of rebellion coming up, and people that stood against you are the ones hobnobbing with such a person. You will feel very depressed. And for him to have forgiven him, I want to salute his courage and salute the fact that truly is our leader in Rivers State, politically speaking, today. And I also want to commend the governor for realizing, just like the prodigal son, that he has erred and retrace his steps back to his family. Because you see, it's only those that are profiting from the crisis in Rivers State, political crisis, that will not appreciate the governor's rethink of his actions, to have said, no, I have sinned, let me go back to my father and plead with him. It's only someone that does not appreciate peace. Because you cannot, he said it in his, when he's addressing his Simplified movement, that you cannot take the fact that today God used Wike to make him governor.
Did he just realize?
That is it. A lot of people were, hovering around him, telling him all sort of things. He told them point blank, you have seen all. You cannot provide solution. We have fought. Where did it take us to? Nowhere. Our state is retrogressing because of that. But that is why I want peace. And outside the fact that I want peace, the person we are talking about is the person that made God used to put me where I am today. Some of you seated there were even against me then. So he has realized it. And I want to commend him for that. Because some persons, due to pride and ego, will not want to go back. But just like the prodigal son, he realized that that is his family, that is his source. Politically speaking, that is his source to prominence today, to even becoming the governor of Rivers State. So let me go back to my father, let me go back to my political family. And that is a very, very commendable decision, and not just decision, also action of the suspended governor. I want to salute him and say thank you to him for doing that, because some people will want to still drag it further at the expense of the state.
The incidents that the politicians can, it's not such a difficult task for them to confuse members of the public, especially those who are not politically savvy like them. We had heard this governor, and it's on record. I had seen that video, for example, during one of the funeral events held for late Dr. Edwin Clark, blessed memory, where he said his spirit, word for word, that his spirit had left the government house in Port Harcourt, that he was no longer interested, that he has left there, that he has moved on, that anybody doing anything supposedly on his behalf was on their own. Now he's back. Well, he has reconciled with his political godfather, like he'll call him, and then we understand that one of the preconditions that was given to him for this reconciliation, for him to be reinstated ultimately, is that he won't seek a second term in office. Of course, that is in 2027. Are these not neck-breaking conditions?
Well,
for a man who had constitutional rights to run for a second term in office?
Well, I will say that that cannot be verified. I have not seen where the FCT minister made such statements, or the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, or even the suspended Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, or even the, the suspended Governor of Rivers State. I have not heard where they said that. So I wouldn't want to work based on assumption or rumors that such a condition is given to him. I think that would be my response, because I don't think such a condition will be given to him. But even though it is given to him, you see, the person we are talking about is someone that right from time did not indicate interest to be the governor of the state. So if he said, okay, he can even choose to say, I just want to go do this term, and I'm okay with it. You just said that he said his spirit has left the government house. His spirit has left that office. So if the spirit has left the office, maybe the spirit came back and the spirit doesn't want to go to the government house in 2027. Let me just complete this one. Maybe that is what
that's not a dynamic spirit, because that spirit can also turn around tomorrow and say, well, we've changed our mind, we want to go back to the house.
Let's see when the spirit this one. But as we speak today, I don't think there's a lot of, I saw a lot of things, conditions given, this, that, and so on and so forth. But the truth remains that we've not heard it from the failed peace deal that we saw, the terms of agreement, the FCT minister mentioned some of them. That one we heard it from them.
Right.
But this one we've not heard from any of the parties. So I feel it's not something that should be taken serious. But one thing that I'm happy about is that politically peace has returned to Rivers State, and the suspended governor has retraced his step to his political family, and also our leader, the FCT minister, have also forgiven him and received him. Not just forgiven him, he has received him back to the fold, and that is what is gladdening my heart, and I'm happy about it.
There are people who believe, I mean, some of these people are in your party, they believe that the reconciliation between Wike and Fubara does not necessarily mean reconciliation of all the other agreed members, especially those on the side of Governor Fubara. All right. So how do we ensure, I mean, it's your party, by the way, that the PDP becomes, if you like, a united front again, as it used to be before now, in Rivers State?
No, the truth is that it's only those that are profiting from the crisis that will not accept what the suspended governor said. That is the simple truth. Because, their source of, income has been blocked by the peace, deal. That means what they have been getting, what they are, using to sustain themselves and living the flamboyant life they are living will no longer be there. That is, it's only those of them that are profiting from, the crisis entrepreneurs that will not appreciate what the FCT minister has done and what the suspended governor and also the suspended speaker of the Rivers State Assembly have done in trying to bring peace to the state, except those of them. Otherwise, every other person is happy that we have gotten to this level and we have passed the stage of having issues amongst us. And what the FCT minister said is the simple truth. Even sometimes you disagree with your parents, you disagree with your wife, you disagree with your friends, but you still come back. So what has happened is normal within the political space, that you disagree with someone, your political son or your political godfather, and you come back and reconcile and work together. So that statement the FCT minister made is, yes, that is how it is. It's a true, correct statement, and we commend him for opening his arm to welcome the FCT minister. So the suspended governor, and also commend the suspended speaker of the House of Assembly for accepting the peace deal and welcoming the suspended governor back, because they suffered. They were denied their salaries, right, and their family has gone through a lot of pain. So for them to also accept him is something that I want to commend Honorable Martins Amelwe for that action. And also, as I said, it is only crisis entrepreneurs that will not like what is happening right now. Otherwise, it's one of the most beautiful thing that has happened in Rivers State in recent times.
All right, let's quickly hit another break now at this point, everyone. The conversation just gets interesting every other time with the People's Democratic Party. However, behind this short break, we'll be looking at the Saraki-led, if you like, panel or committee that was set up a while ago with a specific mandate. The question is, how exactly is it faring and what impact is it making in light of this humongous task that it has been saddled with? More coming shortly. Stay with us. All right, so I want to take you back a little. I mean, you and I were also in this studio, right on this program. We talked about the committee led by former Senate President, former Governor of Kwara State, set up to say, let's look at those people who feel aggrieved. And on the basis of that, left this party, how do we bring them back, reconcile them, and then get this party to be as strong again as it used to be? Talk to our viewers about how much of progress or otherwise that committee is making.
Well, I want to say that Senator Saraki is a political enigma. We commend him for what he's doing. His committee has started work earnestly, and I can say that today the peace we have achieved so far, most especially regards the national secretaryship of our party, the Anyanwu issue, can also be attributed to some extent to his committee for standing by the Constitution and the truth and the Supreme Court judgment. So the Saraki-led committee is doing a lot in trying to ensure that, one, those that are willing and ready to listen to the truth, and those that are ready and truly lost PDP, to plead with them that say, whatever grievances you have, all of us at one point or the other have been denied of one opportunity or the other. Even myself that is seated here. So please don't leave. And some of them listen and they have remained in the party. Some of them are thinking about it, that has already left. And for those that said they don't want to leave, I mean, for those that want to leave no matter the intervention, he has said it that, please, if you want to do that, leave quick so we can sit down and rebuild the party, those of us that believes in this party. And, you know, Saraki has the experience. So that's why when he advised some of them, they take it, because he has once left the party and he has seen it, and he has discovered that the only party in this country is the PDP. And that's why he's putting extra effort to make sure that the party is united and the party starts, and he's going around without making noise. And that is one thing we commend. And I also want to say that, you see, Saraki is a very strong character, politically speaking. And to the extent he was denied, he's the only Senate president, history has it in Nigeria, there is the only Senate president that has been denied the title of, is it CFRO or GCON, because of his political, you know, sagacity, saying that no, as a legislator, put the executive arm of this nation on his toes. Today has been denied. I want to even use this platform to plead with the president to, just like others, give Saraki that title that he deserves, which is it GC? That's the national honor. Yes, the national honor. He was deprived because of he put the, you know, executive arm of this country on his toes. So that is to tell you the character of the person that is leading the reconciliation. He has the capacity, he has the experience, he has the sagacity to handle such committee, and he's doing it in line with the constitution and very well.
Okay, great. You know, a while ago you said your party is coming back and that the PDP is not dead. In fact, you even said that the PDP, as it stands today, has already been made clear by the acting national chairman and the national secretary, is not ready to go into any form of coalition. Instead, the PDP is interested ultimately in collaboration, some sort of partnership, and the PDP is wide open for those who want to come in to join and support the party, make it stronger, and all of that. Two questions in one. First, is the PDP saying that from a place of ego? That's number one, because some people say the PDP is still living in its past glory of 1999 to 2015. Number two is, the APC seems to be 3 steps, maybe more steps ahead of the PDP as it stands right now, because people are asking, hold on a second, what exactly is the APC telling sitting, duly elected governors of the PDP that's making them to move?
Now, let me thank you very much for this question. You see, PDP is not living in its past glory, and it is not ego. It is PDP believes, and that is the reality on ground. Nigerians loves that party called People's Democratic Party because it's a people's party. And what the people want is not just coming to file alliance for the purpose of taking power. PDP is putting his house in order to ensure that we don't just take power, or we take power and change the lives of Nigerians and make Nigerians smile the way they smiled and became the happiest people on earth during our 16 years in power. That is what PDP is looking at. It's not a matter of ego. That's why if it's ego, we'll not even collaborate with people. We say we'll do collabo. If you want to collaborate with us, we'll do. But we cannot crash our name, because it's an household name today in this country. It's like somebody tell you, come, let's do this thing, and you change your name. No, PDP wants, Nigeria wants PDP to remain, not just PDP members. Nigerians, apolitical Nigerians want PDP to remain. Most times, Nigerians that vote us to power. It's not just PDP members. Nigerians go out, and I want to salute Nigerians for the support they've given us all these years. Now, talking about what the APC is telling sitting governors and so on to join them. Well, APC cannot tell ordinary Nigerians to join them, because they know ordinary Nigerians don't have reason to join them. That is the simple truth. They know with this guy, spoke with an APC friend that is from Adamawa State, and we were just gisting, and he said, see, if they don't do anything, he cannot even campaign for his party, he only campaign for himself. not for even the president, not for even the APC candidate, because the insecurity in the state and the northeast is beyond what we hear on the news. People, today you go to the market, tomatoes that is 3,000, today is about 15,000 a basket in Abuja here. What is the issue? Insecurity. So they cannot tell Nigerians anything. They can only tell those that maybe they have their dossiers to show that if you don't join us, you fail, you go to jail and stuff like that, and people want to join them. Otherwise, let APC go and talk to other Nigerians and tell them, come and join. They'll spit on them. Because Nigerians know what they are going through, the sufferings they are going through. And that's why they are crying and pleading with PDP. Please, put your house in order and come back to power. We know what we have compared. You know, until you marry second wife, you not appreciate what the first wife has been doing. PDP, Nigerians are married to us. They did not appreciate the fact that we are taking good care of them. Until when they married the APC, they now said, no, this is a wrong one. We want the first wife, so they are pleading with us. And we really appreciate Nigerians for that, and we are assuring them that we'll do our best to make sure that PDP bounce back. This is 2027.
Yes, this well, hypothesis, I like to call it, that you just presented, for many Nigerians does not hold water, because they'll tell you that the PDP lost election in 2015. So if you say they tried the APC and it didn't work, they're coming back to the PDP, how is it that by 2019, at the time where former President Buhari had done 4 years in office, the APC still won the election? And in 2023, the APC again, this time with different candidates altogether, now President Bola Tinubu won election again. So from where does the PDP, your party, derive the confidence that it will win in the 27 general election?
See, there are two elections that we did not lose, the 2015 and 2019.
Why is that?
And I'll tell you, if you look at the 2015, despite the, what is it called, the betrayal from some political family from the north, the party, the president then, in the interest of peace, gave out that office. Not because, believe you me, not because the PDP did not win that 2015 general election. The president, rather the former president, has said it, even to the extent how the former president of America interfere rather, with the internal politics of this country. He has said it. So we shouldn't judge PDP based on that election. And we know the former president is a peace-loving person. So he sacrificed himself, the office, the party, for the peace and for the peace of this nation. That is about 2015. 2019, we also know from every report that came out and everything that the PDP did very well. The PDP did very well. But no matter how you do very well, what is recognized is the pronouncement of INEC. Just like they say, majority have their way, minority have their say. So INEC has pronounced them. And we know the issue we have with our electoral system. You know about the glitch. It only happened in the presidential election. What happened about the other elections? Suddenly it started working. If today we transmit our result electronically, not manually, I assure you PDP will come back to power. Electronically, not manually. And that's why the president sacrificed himself by ensuring that there is amendment to Electoral Act, which they were celebrating that the Electoral Act, that we signed as a party under PDP leadership has removed us. No. We meant well for Nigeria, and that is what it means. We want a progressive Nigeria. We want a peaceful Nigeria. We want a Nigeria whereby every citizen's vote will count. So it shouldn't be seen as a weakness, but rather a strength and a commendable one at that.
It's interesting. I'm curious now. We just mentioned former President Goodluck Jonathan in person, and we also have former Senate President David Mark, a man who has been adjudged to be the longest serving Senate President in the history of this country, especially in this Fourth Republic. How is it that those two gentlemen have become inactive, in a manner of speaking, in your party? Because these are two heavyweights, one from the North Central, the other from the South.
No, you see, they are not inactive, most especially the former Senate president. Not that they are inactive. They don't come to the media to talk like some other persons that come to the media to always make noise. It does not mean they are not doing what they need to do or they are inactive. They may decide to stay off the media, but we believe that they are doing their best off the camera or behind the camera. So I will not consider that as inactivity. And I will not consider it that because some of the persons that even come to media and talk frequently cannot even, deliver their states, not even their local government in elections. They just see the media as a platform to make themselves known. But go to their ground, to their wards, go to their local government, go to the state. They've not been able to make the party that popular. They've not been able to, make PDP victorious in any election. So we shouldn't judge inactivity or activity based on the appearances of media alone. No, we shouldn't do that.
I asked that question because we understand from records, the news is very clear on this, that former Senate President David Mark is not only a very central part of the coalition talks, he is likely, from what we hear, going to lead this coalition. So how then do you say a man like that is still in your party and active?
No, you see, he has not come up to say yes. If you see, we hear rumor that he's the chairman, interim chairman of this, interim chairman of that, but he has not come to say that, yes, I've accepted it. He has not said that. And I want to respect that fact, and as I said, he's still with our party and he's doing his best within the party. I will not come up to assume or presume that he has been appointed. People use people's name to do. Remember once they say, the mark is this, the mark is that. He has said it one time like that he's the last man standing in PDP. And I believe that word because he said it.
Have politicians ever kept such words, such promises?
No, we have, unfortunately, we have politicians that don't keep to their promises, but fortunately, to some extent, we have some, very few, that when they say something, they keep to it. We have some of them. We shouldn't generalize to the point that no politician, no, we have some of them that when they say a word, they do their best to keep to it.
The People's Democratic Party in this country had issues with the 2015 general election. Of course, that was the one that Dr. Goodluck Jonathan lost. All right, they picked holes. Well, maybe we should subject that to some debate or something.
Yes.
In 2019, your party also picked holes in the outcome of the election. And in 2023, up till this point, your party keeps saying that they never lost that election. Of course, we've heard former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, your flag bearer in that party, talk about that time and again. Of course, as is always the case, they heaped the entire blame on the Independent National Electoral Commission. Two things. What is the, as they say in business, competitive advantage that the PDP is taking into 2027 election? And should it, just for the purpose of this conversation, turn out not to be in favor of the PDP, what will your party blame again?
No, you see, the 2023, if you notice when you asked the other question, I didn't include the 2023, and I did it for a reason. And the reason is because the party failed to abide by its constitution section 73C.
That's 2023.
2023. That's why I didn't include it when I was talking about it. I didn't lose 2015 and 2019, but that one I didn't include it. Because one, what led to we losing the 2023 election is because we did not abide by our constitution. That is what led to it. And if you notice, how does that happen? Some members of the party, P2B and the rest, left the party. And we saw the vote P2B got. Imagine that vote, including the one our presidential candidate had, together for PDP, will be in power today. So the problem of we losing the 2023 presidential election can be traced to PDP failing to abide by the zoning principle of our constitution. If you want to zone it to the south, zone it to the south. If you want to zone it to the north, zone it to the north. Don't throw it open. We have credible persons, people with good character, integrity in the north. We also have people with good character, integrity, and political sagacity in the South. So it is not an issue on a question of, no, we want the best. In everywhere we have the best. So if the party stood up to its constitution and said, no, the presidency should be zoned to the South because we had a president from the North for 8 years, it should be zoned to the South. Believe you me, would have been in power today. But the party paid a blind eye to that section 7(3)(c) of our constitution. So what do you expect? People will be aggrieved. The South will shortchange. That is the issue. So then you talked about if we should lose what competitive advantage, and that is what the leadership of the party is doing, to try and ensure that we unite our party. That is our major bone of contention. Get everybody on board, because in the aspect of Nigerians are just waiting for us. Immediately we put our acts together, I'm assuring you that Nigerians will still behind PDP. That is about that. Then, if we lose the 2027 presidential election, we are not blaming anybody. Definitely we look at ourselves. That what has gone wrong? Why didn't we get it? We know all these months we have been struggling, internal issues. Is that the issue that led to it? We'll be able to examine. But I believe that we'll be able to bounce back and do very well in come 2027 with this, having resolved this issue of the national secretaryship of our party. I know one or two disgruntled persons will definitely rear their ugly heads, but that will not stop us from making progress as regards the party and 2027.
Your party has sadly so, history of flouting its own rules based on your constitution. How does the PDP intend to disrupt that culture?
No, that is what they've started. By recognizing the fact that Anya will remain the national secretary. Because that is the issue he was fighting. That no, I'm not crazy about being the national secretary. I'm not too keen about that. What I'm keen about is that let it not be that PDP is known or continuously to be known as a party that flouted its constitution because one or two power governors that have resources, their state resources at their disposal, who want to change the rules at the middle of the game. No, that was what Anya was right, and that's why young people of the party should commend him to have fought to this extent to ensure that we don't have a retrogressive reference in the future. Because people would have said, if the constitution said this, why did Anya was removed? So he was fighting for the young people of the party. He was fighting for justice. He was fighting for constitutionality, not for himself to remain as national secretary. How many months? He has been there for 3 years. Just few months, that is what will make him go crazy? No. But this should not, illegality should not prevail over legality. Unconstitutionality should not prevail over constitutionality. That is what he's fighting for. And that is why he won. Because he's on the side of the law.
Let's begin to tie things up now. With the benefit of hindsight, you are a very ranking member of the PDP. Do you think your party regrets allowing influential figures like Peter Obi to leave?
Definitely, we'll definitely feel.
Do you think you could have handled that situation better going into the 2023
yes. election? We would have handled it better by zoning the presidency to the South. If it was zoned to the South, we know that yes, Peter Obi wouldn't have left the party. People are saying it is because of this person, it is because of that person. I don't think so. I feel that the former governor of Anambra State saw that the presidency is not being zoned to the South. So what should I remain and be doing there? If it's only South, then. And that's why most people will want to blame the former vice president that why can't you make that sacrifice of saying, no, let it go to the South. But some of his, minders will come up and say, he said if it's zoned to the South, PDP zones its position to either the North or the South.
So the leadership of that zone now microzones.
Microzones. That is how we operate. That is the convention. That is the constitution. They don't zone it to this southeast. No. When they bring the argument, it's very feeble to me because it is not south. So by the time you zone it to the south, the leadership in the south can say, okay, let's zone it to the southeast or south or southwest. But not that, why didn't they would have, if they zone it to the southeast, it wouldn't have contested. That is just to deceive the people. Not the true position of things. He would have said, okay, zone it to the south. As an influential leader of the party, you now follow it up. Go and approach your loyalists in the south that we should push this into southeast. That is how it should be done if you genuinely wanted it to be zoned to the south.
Right. Well, this is an ongoing issue. Incidentally, you will be leaving the studio this morning to attend the expanded caucus meeting of the People's Democratic Party here in the nation's capital this morning. I've been talking with DABOIKIABO. WARMATE is a ranking member of the PDP, a chieftain of the party specifically, and is also the convener of the PDP League, helping us to find sense and context in what has happened in the party the last couple of weeks and what exactly it will take into the 2027 general election. We'd like to say thank you to you for your time.
Thank you for having me
this morning. We're taking a break now. Shortly, Ogochukwu Mobodo will be here with the Social Buzz. Behind that, myself and Juma Manson will tie up the show for you this morning. Do stay with us.